Hello, Miss Gracia. This is the group that is going to talk about paraphrasing and plagiarism. My name is Antonio Ferro, and this group is formed by me and two other persons.
José Kronfle.
And Alexis Suero.
Alexis Suero is going to talk about plagiarism, the base of this video, because it's really important to as a Morano to know the techniques and tactics to not have problems with plagiarism, because we make a lot of investigation in programs and in our words.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to give the definition made by the University of Kentucky, and I'd like to quote: plagiarism means taking the words and thoughts of others, their ideas, concepts, images, sentences, and so forth, and using them as if they were our own, without crediting or the author or citing the source. Most plagiarism is willful and a sort of theft. This definition englobes the most important part of plagiarism, which is that it's a kind of theft, meaning that it's stealing. So it's a pretty bad thing, and it's in most countries, like United States, um, it's a penalized crime. So one way of making plagiarism is paraphrasing, for example. Even though paraphrasing can be sometimes a common way of saying other people's ideas. So, my colleague here is going to talk about more on this subject right now.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the different ways that exist to avoid plagiarism nowadays. One of them is the paraphrasing, like my mate here already talked about. There are two ways of paraphrasing. One is the one that you only change the word of your research to your own words to use the same idea, and it's also considered plagiarism. Okay, the other way is the same when you change the words of the research to your own words, but there are rules that you have to follow to that paraphrase uh, not be considered a plagiarism. That is not to use two verbatims in the same row in the same text. Okay, another way is to cite. You have to cite what you copy or ¿cómo es?
Really.
Literally copy from another person, the words of another person. The third way is to quote. You have to quote the phrase of the persons and of the creators of that idea or article. Okay. The other way is to cite quotes. Uh,
When you cite quote, is when you use a quote to cite something that's important in your work. So this is relative in when you're like using a simple sentence of other author and you quote this sentence in your work and you only cite this quote in the paper that when you are using it.
you have to add the page number of the quote. The other way is when you citing your material, when you put the citation of what you already have wrote. The other way is referencing, that is to put the
Bibliography.
bibliography.
The other part is when you use bibliography. Bibliography in reference is really important because we are all the information of the things that you are using in your work from other people or your own work. So it's really important.
I,
Okay.
I need to make people that read your article or your work to know where you get the information that you are using in your research.
Okay, to paraphrase, is when you use the information of another author or you use your own words to change that information. There are many ways of paraphrase, and there are many techniques that you can use. So, like my mate here, Jose Ignacio, talked about that is that like a legal way to make paraphrasing and a legal way to make paraphrasing. So today I want to talk to you about the five most important techniques to paraphrase. The first one is change from a clause to a phrase. The second one is change from a quote speech to indirect speech. The third one is to change from an active voice to a passive voice. And the fourth one is to change to synonyms. And the fifth one is change word forms. So you have to put like the information that you are using from another author of an article or a book in your own words. This is like an art for me and for the people that know how to use it. So you have to read the sentence, and the sentence that you are reading, you have to change like the verbs or the synonyms that are really important on this sentence to your own words, or use like synonyms, like I use like the technique that I taught you in a few seconds. And it's really important to use paraphrasing in the legal way.
Okay, we would like to show you a video by Zero Education, and please enjoy.
Welcome to the Department of Plagiarism investigation. The DPI has dealt with numerous complex cases in their effort to bring plagiarists to justice and to rescue purloined texts. The first form of plagiarism that the DPI regularly encounters is known as brainchild snatching, in honor of the Latin word plagiarius, from which plagiarism originates. Brainchild snatchers sneak up on innocent papers and copy and paste them without citing any sources, putting quotation marks around direct quotes, or changing a word. They've also been known to steal and hold particularly eloquent essays for ransom. When brainchild snatchers get together, they form a kidnapping ring, which involves brainchild snatching from multiple sources. Some perpetrators have even been known to commit self-plagiarism, one of the laziest crimes in the annals of the DPI. Also known as one-sided collaborators, these oddballs snatch up entire texts or small passages that they've written before and present them as brand new material. Brainchild snatchers and kidnapping rings are easy for the DPI to catch. Just paste a few passages into a search engine and bam, they're caught red-handed. The more covert forms of plagiarism include the wild goose chase technique, in which plagiarists create fake authors, book titles, page numbers, or other information in order to cover up plagiarism. And the old synonym switcheroo, in which plagiarists utilize a thesaurus as their main weapon. By substituting a synonym for nearly every word in the document and leaving the sentence structure and order of the ideas the same, plagiarists give legitimate paraphrasing a very bad name. Shoddy paraphrasing is also a key part of variations on a smokescreen, a technique in which multiple passages are paraphrased, then pasted together into one. The thorniest issue that the DPI deals with is the misconception that you can never be accused of plagiarism if you use quotes and cite your sources. This is most certainly not the case, because a paper that is made up of passage upon passage of other people's ideas is known as a wholly quotable document. This is considered plagiarism since there are no original thoughts in the work. Similarly, passage after passage of too closely paraphrased text from multiple cited sources is also plagiarism of the pervasively paraphrased kind, because the ideas still aren't one's own. And lastly, the technique of revealing while concealing is plagiarism because it involves selective amnesia regarding one's sources in an attempt to cover up wholly quotable and pervasively paraphrased issues in a text. Some passages are meticulously documented, quoted, or paraphrased, while others are presented entirely as one's own. As you can see, the DPI has its hands full tackling all sorts of academic mischief and mayhem, ranging from the petty to the outrageous. Given the gravity of these transgressions, you might be wondering why you've never heard of the Department of Plagiarism Investigation's victories. That's because it doesn't technically exist. But people like you and me can be our own DPI agents to fight plagiarism and uphold the values of original thinking. We know that the best defense against plagiarism consists of writers who save themselves time, worry, and effort by taking the far easier road of just doing the work themselves.
So this was our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it and learned everything you could about plagiarism and ways to avoid it. Please have a good evening.